The epidemic is raging. Many Shanghainese are panicking. Korea, Malaysia, India report the impacts. The number of casualties has risen again. A sudden 6.8 magnitude earthquake in Tibet caused 126 deaths and 188 injuries. The influenza epidemic in mainland China is fierce, and both adults and children are susceptible to infection, causing panic among the people. It is reported online that the influenza epidemic in Shanghai has been serious recently. Doctors have admitted that there have been cases of child deaths. Some Shanghai netizens have bluntly said that many children have died. Netizens in many areas have reported that there have been deaths in their local regions, and they do not distinguish between adults and children. These terrifying scenes reminiscent of 5 years ago are sweeping across China again, with severe cases developing within just 2 to 3 days. China is facing a surge of multiple epidemics, with some patients rapidly deteriorating into severe conditions. Neighboring countries like Malaysia, Korea, and India have also reported impacts. Hospitals across China are overwhelmed by an influx of patients. Shanghai, doctor. 5 children have died after being treated in succession. Shanghai netizens. Many children have died of influenza A. Recently, Dr. Wang Chengdong of the Pediatric Surgery Department of Shanghai Xinhua Hospital said in a Douyin video in mainland China that among the children he treated, 5 consecutive children were admitted to the emergency room because of influenza, and some children were put on ventilators. Some people have not even been rescued. Some also developed severe encephalitis and died suddenly, but they are still being rescued. Wang Chengdong said that these children had similar symptoms. Their body temperature soared to 39 or 40 degrees in the first 2 days, and then they became listless and had shortness of breath. They all had influenza A. He said, "Influenza A is not an ordinary cold. Ignoring it is the greatest harm to life." In the comment area, a Shanghai netizen said, "Really, this wave of influenza A has killed many children. I live in Shanghai and have witnessed the death of children caused by influenza A. My friend's child is in the critically ill hospital of your hospital and has been confirmed to be brain dead. My colleague's friend's son was only 8 years old and also died of influenza A. My colleague's child's classmate had a fever without coughing, but he didn't go to see a doctor. Later, he died on the way to the hospital in an ambulance. His lungs were white." Comment area netizens from many places reported influenza deaths, both adults and children. Beijing netizen. "A few days ago, I also saw a baby who died of influenza A encephalitis. The father said that he went to the hospital after having a fever for half a day, and the baby died. He was only 1 year old." Tianjin netizen. "We are now living in the ICU with pneumonia. A baby who lives with us died of pneumonia." Gansu netizens. "I am not exaggerating. My nephew died of influenza A 2 days ago. He died of severe pneumonia. He was just 18 years old." Sichuan netizens. "A 13-year-old child of a colleague's relative died of necrotizing meningitis complicated by a brain tumor. We have one here who just died. He had a high fever and was exactly 40 years old." Shandong netizens. "My classmate also caught a cold. He died yesterday in just 2 days. It was also caused by a cold that led to white lung. Hurry up and take a vacation. Don't go. This wave of the epidemic is very fierce. Many babies have died. It's scary. All the children in the hospital are pneumonia. It's terrible." Someone else said, "Be careful. I really have a friend who died. He had a fever for a month and went to all the major hospitals. Even the Union Hospital didn't give him a clear answer. Then he had a fever for 30 days and died." Someone said, "Recently, many people have been admitted to the ICU because of influenza A, and some of them can't get out after entering." Group infections in many places have caused panic. Netizens in many places directly pointed out that it is the new crown. This wave of influenza in the mainland is indeed fierce. According to the latest data from the China Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the positive rate of influenza virus continues to rise, with more than 99% being influenza A. According to netizens, group infections have occurred in many places, and they bluntly said that this wave of influenza A is the new crown. Netizens in Henan, Shanxi, Jiangsu, and Sichuan. My son said that 25 students in his class had a fever today. I'm so worried. Half of the students in my daughter's class coughed, and some vomited. We are all on holiday today. My family said that 11 children in their class asked for leave. There are 34 children in my son's kindergarten class. Only 15 went, and the rest are all flu, influenza A. Many netizens questioned, the new crown didn't go out at home, opened the window for ventilation, and the child with influenza A didn't go out at home, but the child had a fever when he opened the window for ventilation. I really don't know how he was infected without going out and opening the window for ventilation. Isn't it a variant of the new crown? Is this really influenza A? Why don't you believe it? Many netizens pointed out that it was the new coronavirus. What influenza A has spread? It feels like the new coronavirus. My sense of taste has disappeared again. I feel that influenza A is the new coronavirus. The symptoms are exactly the same, but no one uses this word now. It must be the new coronavirus. Otherwise, how could people die? It's so scary. Faced with the current fierce so-called influenza epidemic, hospitals in many parts of the mainland are overcrowded and the people have panicked. In the comment area, many netizens said that their children did not dare to go to school for a month. Some said that they had applied for a leave of absence, and some said that their children would not go to school for the time being and would see what happened later. It is worth mentioning that although the public reported influenza deaths in many places, there has been no official notification of this. The outside world generally doubts that Chinese Communist Party officials concealed the epidemic. The number of casualties has risen again. A sudden 6.8 magnitude earthquake in Tibet caused 126 deaths and 188 injuries. On the morning of January 7th, a 6.8 magnitude earthquake occurred in Dingri County, Xi'an City, Tibet, causing 53 deaths and 62 injuries. Within 3 hours after the earthquake, 49 aftershocks of magnitude 3.0 or above occurred, with the largest being magnitude 4.4. According to the latest update, the death toll caused by the earthquake has risen from 95 to 126, and the number of injured has risen from 130 to 188, including 28 seriously injured. According to the Xinhua news agency of the Communist Party of China, at 9:05 on January 7th, a 6.8 magnitude earthquake occurred in Dingri County, Xi'an City, Tibet. The epicenter was located in Kogwo Township, Dingri County. The population within 20 kilometers of the epicenter was about 6,900. There were 3 township town street garrisons and 27 villages within 20 kilometers of the epicenter. As of 12:30 on the 7th, the earthquake in Dingri County had caused 53 deaths and 62 injuries. At present, Tibet has initiated a secondary response. According to Tashi Donju, the county magistrate of Dingri County, the earthquake was particularly felt in Dingri County when it occurred. According to the staff of the village work team in Tonglai Village, Changsuo Township, Dingri County, houses collapsed in Tonglai Village when the earthquake occurred, and the casualties are being investigated. According to CCTV News, a 6.8 magnitude earthquake occurred in Dingri County, Xi'an City, Tibet today, and the areas that were severely affected included Dingri County Changsuo, Kogwo, Kuluo Township, and other places. According to the Beijing News, the earthquake was felt very clearly in the county seat and surrounding areas of Dingri County. There are 7 villages within 5 kilometers of the surrounding area, including Tangren Village. The average altitude within 5 kilometers of the epicenter is about 4,259 meters. The temperature in Dingri County was minus 13 degrees Celsius on the 7th. Xinhua News Agency released the latest news at 22:08 on the 7th. It was learned from the publicity department of the Shanghainese Municipal Party Committee that after a preliminary investigation, as of 1900 hours, the earthquake in Dingri County had caused 126 deaths and 188 injuries, including 28 seriously ill people. 3,609 houses had collapsed. According to the China Earthquake Network Center, as of 12 o'clock on the 7th, the 6.8 magnitude earthquake in Dingri, Tibet, recorded a total of 49 aftershocks of magnitude 3.0 and above, including 33 below 3.0, 13 between 3.0 to 3.9, and 3 between 4.0 to 4.9. The largest aftershock was magnitude 4.4, about 18 kilometers from the epicenter of the main earthquake. At the same time, Tibetan people will also face severe cold weather. CCTV News reported that the China Meteorological Administration launched the third-level emergency response to earthquake disaster meteorological services at 1100 hours on the 7th. It is expected that in the next 3 days, the lowest temperature in Dingri County, Shanghainese City, Tibet, will be -18 to -14 degrees Celsius, and the highest temperature will be 0 to 7 degrees Celsius. In the next 3 days, Dingri County will experience strong winds and low temperatures at night. In response to the earthquake in Tibet, Xi Jinping, the leader of the Communist Party of China, gave important instructions, and Li Qiang, the premier of the Communist Party of China, also made instructions. The Office of the State Council Earthquake Relief Command and the Ministry of Emergency Management launched the National Earthquake Level 3 Emergency Response. The Ministry of Natural Resources launched the Geological Disaster Defense Level 4 response at 10 o'clock on the 7th. And the Ministry of Housing and Urban-Rural Development has launched the Earthquake Emergency Level 3 response. Some Tibetan netizens lamented, "Many houses are earthen houses, and almost all collapsed. Earthquake warning only takes a few seconds, so it's hard to run in such a big earthquake. It was still dark at 9 in the morning, and I was in a daze. I couldn't react at all in the 10 seconds of warning." Some netizens said, Shanghainese is located at the foot of the western Malay Mountains, where there is a vast area and few people. Even so, it has caused heavy casualties. Horrifying tofu constructions, broken wall on the 30th floor, hanging buildings in China. People spent millions to buy a house, but it turned out to be a rotten construction project. You see, this is a wall. You can dig it off with your hands. Do you think you should report him? Look, it would be strange if this house didn't collapse. When the window falls off, don't say I didn't install it properly. You see, this house is built so poorly that you can pull it apart with your hands. This house is going to fall down. This is a rotten construction project. Do you think you should report him? You see, this is still a new community. The construction team used a crane to dismantle the old bridge piers. After drilling away the outer layer of reinforced concrete, sand continued to flow out from inside the bridge pier. I originally thought the inside of the bridge pier was made of bricks, but I didn't expect it to be filled with sand. What is the principle here? China's economy is in decline. Real estate giants such as Evergrande and Country Garden have been hit by major financial storms. Local governments and developers have run out of money. Cutting corners and reducing material quality have become very common. More and more rotten projects are being exposed. Some buildings are cracked, some foundations are sinking, and sewers are unusable. Today, we are going to talk about China's scum projects. At around 7 a.m. on November 18th, the roof of an ice skating hall suddenly collapsed in Baicheng City, Xi'an Province, leaving the scene in ruins. Official staff stated, "The cause of the accident is initially determined to be deformation of the roof steel structure, possibly due to certain problems with construction quality." Fortunately, no casualties were reported. The video showed the roof of the skating hall suddenly collapsing. Almost the entire roof fell, and the scene was filled with smoke and dust. Woman said, "It collapsed." How scary is that? Man said at 7 or 8 in the morning, the police and firefighters came, but without medical staff. There should be no casualties. The ice skating hall has a construction area of 7,077 square meters and was designed to meet the needs of indoor competitions such as short track speed skating, figure skating, curling, and other sports. There are 3 floors plus a basement. The first floor mainly serves as competition venues, the second floor as activity rooms and gyms, and the third floor as training classrooms. Some netizens questioned, after investing $50 million, it collapsed within a few years. How was it inspected and approved back then? Some people are greedy. To put it bluntly, this is a man-made disaster. There was also a recent collapse incident in Kunming City, Yunnan Province, where a supermarket's roof caved in, causing many customers to fall into the river. On July 1st, the owner of the Greenland Intercity Space Station community in Zhuzhou, Hunan, reported that the ceiling of the new building could be easily penetrated with plastic pipes, causing water and mud to fall like dust. I bought a house like this for a few 100,000 yuan. This small plastic pipe can penetrate the floor. Can this house even be lived in? If I keep poking it, I suspect it might puncture the entire floor. Can we build a house like this? It feels very loose, as if it was filled directly without adding any cement. Honestly, it's scary to look at, and it feels like poking a hole in the sky. We asked the developer to check the quality problems in each house, and he said, "Let the owners check it themselves." It feels like the whole house is shaking after jumping. The earthquake resistance doesn't meet the requirements, does it? After the decoration is finished, will furniture or other items suddenly fall down? Our safety is also at risk. According to the developer's general contractor, this is a small defect in quality. In reality, the handover conditions were not met, and the acceptance process completely failed. What developers are doing now is pre-delivery. If the acceptance conditions and standards haven't been met, how can owners move in to renovate? Aren't you worried? We are very worried, but there's nothing we can do. We're being forced into this situation. The developer responded that the lack of cement strength was a minor flaw and that it would be fine as long as the building could be delivered. The owner, Mr. Chen, felt helpless. They spent tens of thousands on a house in a school district, but had no choice but to move in so their children could attend a good school. At present, the owner's appeals have been to no avail. Analysts believe that the CCP authorities focus solely on the pursuit of economic interests. As long as they can make money, they ignore everything else and do whatever it takes. A netizen commented, "Officials simply don't take the lives of Chinese people seriously. Rotten construction projects in residential areas are endless. Online videos show many cracks in the walls of a 30-story building, with the largest crack as wide as a fist. The walls are filled with foam. This crack is wide enough for the reporter to fit 4 fingers into it. A pillar of the 30-story building was broken, and 4 fingers could fit into the gap. The owners, frightened, demanded to check out. Upon inspection, the reporter saw cracks in multiple parts of the building. In the photos, you can see a wall on the 5th floor connected to the main structure of the house. Upon closer inspection, some owners discovered the cracked wall was actually filled with foam. To confirm, the reporter used tools to break open the wall, revealing large amounts of foam. The developer responded that this wall is not load-bearing but decorative, claiming the cracks would not affect the building's structural integrity. However, the owners argued this concerns the safety of all residents, and even minor issues could lead to catastrophic consequences. Later, surveyors tested the building's slope and found that the developer had not checked the soil density. The soft soil caused the foundation to sink, leading to the large cracks. Reporter: "Why is this bone loose?" Technician: "It was filled in after the building was constructed." Reporter: "The ground was not compacted. It was built on loose soil, and even the backfilled soil was not compacted. Over time, rainwater soaked the soil, creating pressure that caused cavities to collapse, leading to significant settlement. Apparently, the developer failed to evaluate the soil conditions before construction, disregarding the owner's safety entirely. When owners saw that they had spent their life savings on such a house, they were deeply distressed. They demanded refunds from the developer, but their requests were denied. The owners insisted they would not live there under any circumstances. Coincidentally, in the recently delivered residential complex Xi'an in Pingtan, Fujian province, load-bearing walls were found cut through, putting the building at risk of collapse. Owners are now afraid to move in. Take a look. The entire suspended pillar on site is hollow. Can you see it? This piece of stone can be peeled off with your hands. Pingtan isn't big, but it's creating a myth. Given the chance to build a structure, they've created a suspended building. When owners entered the building, their expressions were like those caught in the rain. Some approached cautiously, fearing the pillar might suddenly give way and bury everyone with a loud crash. The builders, however, appeared calm, as if to say this is their newly developed suspension technology, claiming to lead the world. Rotten construction projects like these are widespread in China. On July 9th, all balconies from the first to fourth floors of a 7-story residence in Liaoyuan City, Jilin Province, fell off. The exposed balcony bricks revealed no steel bars. Heavy machinery arrived to remove the remaining balconies on the upper floors. Some professionals commented, "Why do urban balconies keep collapsing?" After carefully reviewing the video, a netizen noted, "I didn't see any steel bars connecting the balconies to the floors." Under the CCP's corrupt system, projects are subcontracted through various layers, with most of the funds siphoned off by corrupt officials. Construction companies are left with minimal budgets, making it common practice to cut corners and skimp on materials. Home is not safe, nor is the outside. On October 3rd, 2022, the road surface of Chaohe Pedestrian Street in Xijiang, Chongqing, suddenly collapsed. Since the location was near a mass transit station, many passers-by failed to react in time and fell into the septic tank beneath the road. The scene was so foul that onlookers instinctively covered their noses. However, several brave bystanders, undeterred by the stench, pulled those who fell into the septic tank back to safety. Fortunately, no casualties were reported.